next month is going to be something different that I'm going to try out. I'm going to talk about the show Sherlock, which is my favorite television show right now. And my friend Janny, you'll remember her from last month with Conversation Heart. She's going to be there. She's going to talk about Doctor Who. I had to kind of change gears because last month I told you that I was going to do the whole Sherlock versus Doctor Who thing. Well, I was talking with my friend who was going to do it with me, and we couldn't get a schedule worked out so we could shoot it together. So we're actually shooting it next month, and then it's going to be released in June. And that was the last time I was... Well, not last time, but the time before I was saying how after the whole X-Men thing, I was going to do a thing with my friend Janny about doing Sherlock versus Doctor Who. That's still going to happen, but we couldn't get it scheduled again, so that won't happen until August at the earliest, probably September. Next month, I still intend to have the whole Sherlock Doctor Who thing that I've been threatening for a long time. Hello YouTube, welcome back to another monthly Chronicle, this time for September of 2014, and we are at last doing the Sherlock versus Doctor Who, and I have a very special guest with me today. Please welcome Janny. She awkwardly slides in the frame.
Hi, I'm Janny. Nice to meet all of you. I know I did one other video in this web series a while ago.
Yeah, we did the Conversation Hearts back in February, and that was around the time we started talking about doing the Sherlock versus Doctor Who videos. Mm-hmm. So glad to finally get that rolling.
Yeah, I'm sonically prepared.
Obviously, this is going to be like discussing each other's shows, and I'm defending Sherlock, and she, of course, is defending Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. So, you ready to get started?
Yep.
All right, so let's see. I thought we might flip a coin to see who talks first. Got to grab one out of my wallet. Should have had that a little more prepared, but if anything, if you learned anything from watching my other monthly Chronicles, it's that I always seem prepared but never am. Okay.
Tails.
Okay, Tails. It is Tails, so Janny gets to talk first with Doctor Who. So the first point is going to be the main characters. The second point is going to be the supporting or companion characters. Third point is going to be villains, and fourth is going to be kind of like a design choice about the show that we really like. So take the floor.
Doctor Who is about this guy who is from space, and he controls all of space and time. He's actually from a planet called Gallifrey, but he goes to Earth, and he always finds these companions, and he'll work with the companion to try to... there's always some kind of an issue. Oftentimes, there'll be aliens from different planets trying to destroy either the Earth or other planets just in space in general, and he basically goes around with these companions that he makes and tries to fight crime in a sense. You have to watch it if you want more detail. I'm not going to give everything away, but there have been various this show has been around for over 50 years now, and it's absolutely amazing. My favorite Doctor, I'll just start out with, is David Tennant, who was a Doctor for a couple seasons.
My favorite too.
Mm-hmm. And there's a whole bunch of backstory, and I don't want to give too much away. I'll let Sam take it away.
All right, and in case you haven't seen Sherlock, you obviously should. It's quite the better show.
Nope.
But Sherlock is based on the original Sir Arthur Conan Doyle short stories, detective novels of the character Sherlock Holmes, but it's in a modern day setting,
which to some people, I know myself included, when I first heard about it, thought that's a terrible idea. But once you actually watch the show, it's brilliant. And Benedict Cumberbatch plays Sherlock, and he is just spot on. I think this is probably the role that made Benedict Cumberbatch as big as he is now. But he has a really distinctive take on the original character of Sherlock Holmes, and he's almost kind of a darker take on Holmes as well than most other Holmes that I've seen. And I guess that's about that. So, companion characters.
All right. Well, the Doctor has had many companions. Some of the recent ones, I guess, from the new part of the series. Instead, I don't know all the companions from the old part of the series. I'll be honest.
No, neither do I.
But from the new ones, there is the original Rose Tyler. Then there was Martha. Then there was Amy.
Got Donna.
Donna, Amy, Clara. Okay, I had a little mind blank, but I think my favorite of the companions was probably Martha, because of all of them, I mean, I just kind of like, she kind of was like, had a little bit of the Doctor in her, in my opinion, because she always like, I don't know, she's a very tough character. She always was, I don't know, she even like when I'm not going to give too much away, never mind. But while she's fighting with the Doctor, she's just always kind of like a badass in a way, and kind of had the same kind of mentality to like, no matter what, she just keeps going. And she was definitely my favorite. I have to say my least favorite was probably Rose Tyler. She was the first companion. She wasn't bad per se. She just, I don't know. I just felt like she was a little bit selfish in a sense. So there's that. But other than that, I've liked basically all the companions that the Doctor has had up to here. So yeah, you can talk a little bit about Sherlock.
The companion character for Sherlock is obviously Dr. John Watson, who in this series is portrayed by Martin Freeman. And just like Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman just like perfectly captures Watson for me. And he's got a real sense of like built up anger, frustration, and sorrow that really just comes across in just the minutest of facial expressions. And you feel that character just like welling up all the pain that he's feeling, but it's just beautiful the way he portrays Watson. And then just his utter confusion and just like real intrigue for how Sherlock works that just creates this really good, what's it called?
Rapport?
Yeah, really good rapport between the two actors and the two characters. And Watson's really not the only companion either, but he's the primary because you also have characters like Mrs. Hudson and Detective Lestrade and Molly Hooper. They're all really good supporting characters, and I think one of the best cast shows that I've seen. Now we get to the fun topic of villains.
In Doctor Who, there are many villains. The Daleks is probably like the most well known. They're these like robotic creatures that go around. They're actually aliens, but they look like robots, and they basically shout "exterminate, exterminate," and that's all they want is to exterminate everything, because they're kind of like these. I mean, their brain is functioned to destroy, and that's basically what it is. And it's just, they're just like they're a very complex creature though, because although you see this like metal creature, inside is actually like a species and a being. And one thing that's really interesting is just the Doctor, although he really dislikes them, he doesn't necessarily want to completely destroy them, because he has this kind of mentality where every creature kind of deserves a life, and he actually, although he has to fight them, he kind of tries to help them, and it's kind of like you don't like the Daleks, but at the same time, I feel like it's hard not to completely dislike them. It's like a weird thing. It's always different. So the villains are, it's not the same way. There's not always like one specific person or something like that. They're always like they're always completely different from the last villain. So it's just like, and you don't always actually truly know who the main villain is, because sometimes it's like a whole chain that leads to one specific villain. But I guess Dialects is probably the main villain that you'll see in the show.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of a cool segue, because in Sherlock there are multiple villains in Sherlock, but there's one primary villain who's always kind of behind the scenes working all the rest of the villains, and that's James Moriarty. And this take on Moriarty in Sherlock is a very different take than all the rest of them, because in all the other ones he's more like a very learned professor kind of guy, always very intelligent. Like, he's the intellectual match to Sherlock, and he always has been. And in this take, he's still that intellectual match, but he is almost just insane. He's almost like the opposite of Sherlock in many ways, because he just wants to cause trouble for the sake of causing trouble. He's the consulting criminal, they call him, where any other villains who want to accomplish something illegal, they go to him and he makes it happen. And he really enjoys playing with Sherlock and thwarting him, just trying to get under his skin. And it makes for a really good tension between the two. I guess now we go on to how what our favorite design choice or aesthetic for the show that we like.
One thing that I always find is really cool in Doctor Who is the design of the TARDIS. The TARDIS is always, the first thing that any new character notices is that the TARDIS is a lot bigger on the inside than it appears on the outside. On the outside, it always appears to be just like an old telephone booth that's blue. And every Doctor kind of redesigns the TARDIS, and it's just kind of like this very modern, very like, it's always slightly different, but it always has some similarity to it. There's like a big, I guess the heart of the TARDIS is in the middle of it, and there's always some kind of like, I guess it's like a tube filled with like a whole bunch of different lights, and just throughout the whole thing, I just think it's really cool. It always has like a dark-ish kind of feel to it, and I find the consistency of like an orange glow coming from it, but every time it also looks a little bit more modern, I guess kind of up to date with available equipment, but it's always very interestingly lit.
I think my favorite design choice about Sherlock is when, I guess it's that kind of like overlaying graphics where like if he gets a text message, it'll appear on screen just kind of like hovering above his phone so that the audience can read it without like having to actually show the phone itself what it says on the phone. Or like, especially in scenes where Sherlock is puzzling out different things where you get to see his thought process and work. It's like, it's almost like if he was at a computer and he's just like searching the internet, like closing out browsers or something, but it's all just happening in his mind and we see it in front of his face as he's figuring out, which I thought was a really cool take on doing it without having to like verbally explain his own thought process. So that's a cool thing. And that was the last point. So I thought we might close this out since Janny has seen all of Sherlock and I've seen all but like the last couple episodes of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. That we would each say something that we enjoy about the other person's show.
All right. Well, I do have to say one thing I do also enjoy is kind of like what Sam was just saying about the way that, my favorite part of Sherlock is the fact that he can see like everything that he's thinking is kind of shown out in front of you, and whenever he like is in like trying to investigate something, everything that he looks at and thinks about in order to like solve a mystery is kind of shown, and that's also shown out as just general when he's walking around, but when it really comes out is when he's like trying to solve a mystery or trying to figure something out. Like he'll stare at a person and let's say they just came back from a concert, but Sherlock didn't like know that before. He could just look at the person and figure out by like what they're wearing, something, I don't know, about like what they look like to figure out, oh, these people were just at a concert. And it's just kind of cool the way that they portray it. And I mean, I think that's, I mean, although Doctor Who is still my number one choice, that is still something that I think is really cool about Sherlock.
Yeah, and while I think Sherlock is my number one choice, there are a lot of things that I do enjoy about Doctor Who as well. And I think one of the main things that I really like about Doctor Who, especially in like the earlier seasons of the new thing, because it was originally a show in the '60s, and then they brought it back to television in 2005. But the thing that they would do, especially in the earliest seasons, was that the show itself almost doesn't like fall into any kind of genres per se. Like, it's definitely science fiction, and that carries all the way throughout. But then there are episodes where it's more comedic, and there are episodes where it's almost kind of horror. But it all works, and it's never like too like. If you try to change genres, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It actually really blends in. Like, my favorite episode probably would be the season 1 episode with the gas mask children. That one was really creepy, but it was so well done. I just absolutely love that one. And, well, I guess, would that be it?
I guess so.
So,
Yeah.
you got the remote. Why don't you shut off the video?
All right.
We will see you next month.